Peace. Peace. What's up, people? Is it starting?
Yo, yo, yo.
What's up?
Welcome, everyone,
We back.
to our second special interest podcast. Claps all around, claps all around, claps all around. So, today we have a podcast that's more so focusing towards how society really treats mental illness, as in, like, how we're accommodated throughout society, whether that's through school or general interactions, or work, you know, the medical system, getting help with your mental illness, pretty much like
Facts.
um, just how I guess society leaves us in a sense that, like what do you have to like do on your own to help yourself, and like what does mental illness, like neglecting your mental illness, really look like, which is pretty interesting to us because I mean I feel like everyone who has struggled with mental illness relates to this on some sense because you've always had that one person that's like, oh, you're not depressed, you're just
Fa-
sad, or something like
or
that, like
like the people that like kind of like fake it for attention too, and
yeah,
kind of like teachers or
definitely
society
more.
think that those that are faking it are the actually ones that are mentally ill,
Mm-hmm.
and the ones that actually have it are were kind of like hidden in the
Yeah.
background.
um yeah, no, that's definitely interesting because that's something more you interact with in high school, right? Is not everyone's
Facts.
mature to realize, hey, this isn't something to joke about. you know like
Oh yeah.
that's the thing, like there've been, like, it's almost like a meme, not that this is like unserious, even though like it's almost like a meme, like the amount of like Tumblr girls that used to be around that would like post their scars and stuff,
Oh yeah.
and like yeah, no, that's really interesting, like to like compare how like like the fact that we're bogged down almost by people who fake it like that. And well, I'm not saying that everyone who has done that has faked it, but a lot of people who do that do it for attention reasons. There, it is a mental illness in it of itself
Yeah,
to
exactly.
pretend you have mental illness, actually. So it's
There's an
pretty
actual name for it.
ironic in that I forget the name,
Me
but yeah,
too.
you're right. um yeah, no, it's pretty interesting because like even if you're looking at like the early 2000s or something, like
Mhm.
it, that was a lot more so the precedent towards like mentally ill people. Like if you were talking about media and like TV and
Oh yeah.
stuff, like that's kind of the image they give you, is like these people who are like so outwardly sad to the point that like they bring the people around them down, rather than
Mm.
most people who suffer through mental illness like suffer in
In
silence
silence, yeah.
and you act as positive as possible and try to encourage the people around them as much as
Yeah.
possible in reality. So it it's funny how one is so mistaken for the other despite being such a vast difference, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is like, you know how you're saying like mostly like we were more positive and like act happy, which is like masking
Yeah.
or and just coming back to like conforming to society because society treats us so much like a lower scale
Yeah,
in a way.
that's something interesting for me in specific with ADHD, because masking is something that's so prevalent within ADHD and autism, and like anything where you just kind of think differently to the not normal person, I guess. But yeah, no, it's weird because there's so many like little subtle things that really I should never have cared about as a child, where I just cared so much about how people perceive me when it came to it. Like fidgeting,
Facts.
of course. Fidgeting's a huge thing. I always want to fidget, right? Like, but but a lot of times as a child, like I would force myself not to, just to like appear normal, and that also plays into like the topic as a whole, because like fidgeting is just that, like one of those things where like yeah, it legitimately can be annoying for other people to fidget. um like especially in something like in school where if you're right next to someone and they're fidgeting the whole time, you might get distracted and you might not be able to
Yeah.
finish your test. But at the same time, uh one thing you realize if you have ADHD is you focus a lot better when you're when you're fidgeting.
Yeah.
um so it it's like pretty sad that uh, that the way to like accommodate to each person is the exact opposite way, because
Thanks.
like people with ADHD need to be able to fidget, in my opinion, to work at efficiency. Like um that's the thing. A lot of people who do have their ADHD worked out, they realize that, and they have some kind of fidget thing or toy or something that they religiously use, and that's like their thing to fidget with. And that's the thing, you could use whatever for that. A lot of people, they'll have like a worry stone, or like I said, like a fidget spinner or whatever, random shit. Um, yeah, no, in my opinion, like it is like a matter of just getting like, for ADHD in specific, of course, because that it's very much like you're doing it for physical stimulation. So like just having that one thing to religiously use to fidget with rather
Mhm.
than your body, because your body can be a lot more like confusing for other people to
Facts.
watch it you fidget with. Like if you're just moving around your hands and stuff a lot, like it's a lot more distracting than if I was
Playing with a paper. I don't know. I would do that.
well, yeah, like if I'm thinking like a worry stone, like that, what a
Yeah.
worry stone is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you just rub the rock. Like that's not distracting for
Yeah.
everyone. That's very much more like accommodating towards most anyone. Um, which is interesting. I don't know why I've been lacking so much about getting something to fidget with. I've been wanting like a fidget
Yeah, you
cube for
told
a
me that.
while.
There's rings too that are pretty good. You just fidget with the ring.
I
Cause you
don't.
can wear it.
I wouldn't want to wear it. I wouldn't want to wear it. I don't like accessories. I find them like,
Annoying.
yeah. That's one weird thing about me. Like, well, I don't say it's weird. I guess this is actually natural. Is like, to me, like, I want like as much clothes on me that's enough to cover up, and if there's any more, like, enough to cover up and make me warm. That's what I care about. And like,
Good point.
like in the summer, I'm wearing a t-shirt and shorts. It might look nicer if I was to wear joggers or something, but fuck that. I'm gonna wear shorts. And um,
Facts.
so yeah, no, it's weird for me. Like I just don't like accessories like that.
But about the ADHD thing, I don't know for you, but like for example, in my high school, my classes were an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine like sitting through an hour and a half with no breaks, where you're
Mm-hmm.
like staying focused for that long is like impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And even through exams that lasted 3 hours are absolute hell.
That's the thing. A lot of people that let me talk about this
Oh
accommodation
yeah.
that schools make. Schools, the most common accommodation for ADHD is extra time. Everyone I've met with ADHD is always the first in their class to finish the exam.
Mhm.
We don't. Some of us may need extra time. I'm not saying that that's a horrible accommodation. Period. Um, it's just kind of like backwards, because in my mind it's not like the time that's the problem with doing a test. It's the fact that you're stuck in a room doing nothing. If we were able to, you know, have a space where you're able to like walk around while you're
Mm.
thinking of the questions, that would help me so much. Because being able, for me, like when I'm writing music and stuff and I'm thinking like, oh, what chord progression would really like heighten this mood, like I get up from my chair and I pace around the room and I pace around the room and I think
Yeah.
about it. So like to me, it's more about accommodating that kind of physical stimulation more so than accommodating the time itself. Because a
Yeah.
lot of us are very fast workers. When we're interested enough or we know enough about something, we're very fast workers. It's not
It's
always
true.
going to be the case when it comes to like, exam on a topic you don't give a shit about, right? You're gonna go slow because you don't remember anything. God, the screen turns out for this thing. That's gonna be annoying. We're gonna have
That's
to
fine.
touch it. But no, it's pretty weird how schools haven't really caught on to that, I guess. Well, they might have. It's just they're not willing to
To
invest
work on
that
it.
much. Yeah,
Yeah.
to invest like that's the thing. Like resource rooms exist. I don't know why they don't just
Yeah.
use that.
What I also feel interesting is like they really only kind of accommodate to like dyslexia and ADHD and like
Well,
all
of course, yeah,
obviously
for the
it's
most part.
different because like
For other mental
it's a bit
illnesses, they
harder.
just give you the same. Because that's the thing. I wasn't diagnosed with ADHD when I was in high school, so I wasn't even like supposed to get real ADHD accommodations, even though I should have, right? Um, and like I was just diagnosed with depression and anxiety, and like they offered me the extra time, but I didn't need the extra time, so I never accepted it. Um, and they didn't offer me like any other accommodations. And it's really weird because this is more of a personal story. So this kind of plays into a later topic we have. But uh, uh, in like early Sec 5, and if some of you aren't from Quebec, that's grade 11, which is the last grade for high school for us. Like at the start of Sec 5, uh, I was in the psych ward for like a week and a half for an attempt. And it like when I came back to school, like of course they had like the principal had a meeting with me and stuff, and she was like, "Oh, like see the guidance counselor and stuff," and she made it seem like I was gonna be seeing the guidance counselor like every week or something, checking in to make sure that teachers are like actually, listening to me and everything. I saw her once.
Once in like the entire rest of the year?
That one time.
Bro.
That one time, a week after.
Wait, can I include something about this?
Yeah.
About accommodations. Like you met this therapist once. Like I recently got a call for like a BPD support group, like I was telling you,
Mm.
and the meetings are twice a year. Like how is that effective?
Yeah, it's not, especially
Yeah.
for BPD, because that's just such a mental illness that's so
The,
reactive within the
yeah.
day.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, that's too long of a time period for bipolar, never
And we
mind
depend on
BPD.
people a lot too.
Yeah, exactly. The group setting is where therapy helps the most for BPD. So that's very, like, backwards.
Yo, it's like
But no, what I was gonna say was, so yeah, they made it sound like I was supposed to see her every week, and like the principal specifically said, like at least every 2 weeks you're gonna see her.
mhm.
Um, and I saw her that one time, and um, the thing is, like afterwards, like there was like 2 weeks after where I was like, "Yo, it's been 2 weeks. Like I was supposed to see you." So I go to the guidance counselor, and I'm like, weren't we supposed to have a follow up? Like I was never called down from class or anything. And she was like, "Oh, I have 800 other kids to worry about." Did those 800
Bro,
did those
I hate
800 try
that.
to, last week? I don't think so. Like what the
Oh
fuck kind of
yeah.
priority is that? You are a social worker. How don't you know how to prioritize things based off of
The
the
emergency.
severity, the
Yeah.
severity. Yeah.
They do that with the health system already. Like
Yeah,
the words
exactly.
are on
That's
top of the list.
the most basic thing about the
Bro.
ER that everyone understands is the priority system, and people understand that it's there for a reason.
I,
How the fuck
oh,
do you like these 800 other kids that you're talking about? You're not seeing them, but you're not seeing most of them once their entire school career.
Let's be
That
fair,
was the
most
first
students
time I
don't
saw
go.
her. Yeah, that was the first time I saw her, and it
Yeah.
was the last time I saw
I've
her.
never been to a school counselor. Most people are like scared to go to school counselors, to be fair.
Yeah, because it is because they barely do anything.
It's a
At
school
least,
setting too.
yeah. I don't mean like it's obviously on a per person basis, right? Like there's always gonna be an outlier. There's always gonna be, even in a job that doesn't like let you be a very nice person.
Hmm.
Not saying that that isn't, but like even in that kind of situation, there's always going to be one nice person that works that job. But like it's just so hard to find within like a school scenario, and like like it's just such a backwards way of thinking. How do you get hired as a social worker in the first place? Holy fuck.
Facts. Yeah, yeah. There's 800 other students, bro. Get in the line, bro.
but but yeah, like
Disappointment.
because of that, like she was even talking about in our first meeting how like she was gonna do all these accommodations for me, like I said, like follow up to make sure like the teachers are actually listening, and
Hmm.
when I say I can't do something at this time, I can't do something at that time. But she never followed up. I never got help when it regards to that. And guess what? I just didn't do some projects. I didn't do a lot of homework because I just couldn't. I wasn't like
Mentally
it,
stable.
yeah, like uh, I was promised like to have help with this shit, and you don't give me help. What the fuck do you expect? Like,
Yeah.
but it's pretty fucking stupid to
Yeah,
have
that
shit like
is.
that.
But also, I feel like a lot of people, like when they try to see a counselor, they kind of go with the school because like it's free and it's like
Yeah,
really quick.
yeah,
But a
easy.
lot of the times, like at least in my surroundings, I've heard like more negative things than positive,
Hmm.
and it kind of ruins
The
the experience of wanting to
you go
actually
to
get help.
therapy. Yeah,
And like the as soon as you ask for help, kind of, at least in school, it's like you're kind of shut down, and then eventually you grow up and you're like, no, I actually need help.
yeah,
And then you're just kind of like, no, like clearly it's not that severe. Like they're comparing
yeah.
you. The
Exactly.
comparison too, like they need to stop comparing
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. It's pretty crazy for like you to say that I'm not on your top priority list when I almost died a week ago. Like,
No.
how is that not a priority for someone in like it would be a priority to help a random person when like that's the situation. Never mind when you're a social worker. To me, if I see someone, randomly on Instagram that's like, yo, I'm not doing well, blah blah blah,
Yeah,
like
hit
I'll
them up.
fucking message them. How the fuck are you that neglectful as someone whose job it
Facts.
is to do this?
And can I just compare like and how like we're talking about how society views mental illness, but in a way like it is a disability, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Like some mental illnesses are considered an official like disability,
Mm-hmm.
but in schools, let's say your friend comes in like is it crutches? Like they're gonna accommodate like certain classes, how they get to class, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you like had an attempt and they don't even like they like try, but they
Yeah.
don't actually do it. So I find interesting how society views physical disabilities and mental disabilities very different.
Well, yeah, it's because you can't immediately see it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
but
But
it's definitely fucking stupid because like in my opinion, it's honestly like, I mean, I'm using the crutches example. Let's
yeah,
say you have like a broken foot. It sucks, but not the worst thing in the world. Most people have broken a bone. I have. Um, like that. Like, yeah, the accommodation of getting between classes, that's important for that because you're literally slower. But like most of the accommodations they give for that, like
no gym class.
oh well, no gym class is like a kind of an exception because you're
Yeah.
doing physical shit. But um like yeah, I don't know, like it's just like a lot easier, I guess, for a teacher to empathize with you coming in with a broken foot versus you saying like, hey, uh I've been like too anxious at home recently, I can't
Mm-hmm.
finish this homework in time. A lot of teachers, I guess, see that as an excuse more than anything, which is
Yeah.
fucking stupid. But yeah, like um
Facts.
um so it's weird because like it kind of pisses me off, especially because this is again more of
Oh
a
yeah.
personal story. this is this is in sec 4, so it was before my attempt, so it's not like the school had as much of an idea, but they still, they still knew that I'm diagnosed with anxiety and depression. Like, as soon as I was diagnosed in like sec 3 is when we sent the documents to the school. Like, we wanted it to be known, even though they never really did anything with it. That we wanted it to be known because it should be known. um and like sec 4, I had like this science teacher, and she was, I'll just call her Miss M just to shorten it. I'm not just gonna expose a teacher like
Yeah.
that. But like, she was a good teacher, don't get me wrong. Like, she taught well, she knew what she was doing. I'm pretty sure she legitimately had a PhD. I don't know why she was working in a high
Oh
school,
shit.
but I'm pretty sure she actually had a PhD. So she knew like the class, she knew her, but she was just, she treated it as if like we were scientists like already. So
Bro.
she would have so much expectation on us, have everything in APA format, you just like a scientific article and everything. And it's like, bro, this is sec 4 science. Like,
Chill out.
yeah, chill out. And we couldn't have water in the room, we couldn't bring our
What?
laptops
Okay,
because there's chemicals around. Like, what can go wrong? Like,
no. Yo,
bro, I just want to drink some fucking water.
I'm fucking thirsty, bro.
Yeah, like, that's the thing. Like, she was the type of teacher that would
Ew.
like you couldn't like go to the bathroom more than once a class, and it's like,
I don't get that rule.
that
You
doesn't
imagine
make
all of
sense.
your fucking
What if
like
you just came back from gym class, you just chugged a water bottle? When you chug
exactly.
a water bottle,
You gotta go,
you
bro.
gotta go multiple times. You gotta go
No,
like
but it's
three
funny
times every 10 minutes.
how you spend like 12 years like asking permission to go pee, and then they're like, "You're an adult now. Decide what you want to do for the rest of your life." I just find that funny.
It's pretty funny,
Like,
yeah.
okay.
Um, yeah, no, that pissed me off so much because like she would never accommodate for anything because she would treat it like I was fucking employed by her. But no, I don't even want to be in your class, pussy. Like, I would rather get transferred out of this class. But
Fair.
um, yeah, no, it was crazy with with her specifically, just because like it was treated so much like it was a job that we're doing, and it's like, bro,
That's so
we're
annoying.
literally like fucking, I don't even know any of the fucking experiments we were doing. I remember one time we picked up leaves in a park.
What?
That was one of our science
I was over here
experiments.
dissecting hearts, bro. Did
I
you do?
dissected a sheep heart
Oh,
once.
okay.
That's the only thing we dissected in high school, actually.
Oh
I was in
shit.
advanced science too, which it like
Oh,
is probably like why she was a little harder, but like
that's
a
fucking
little more
weird.
than a little, but still um like, I don't, it was just everything was taken way too seriously for fucking high school science, that it was just like too much stress.
Hmm.
Like, even if you were like 30 seconds late to the class, like she would, you know how like there would be like the break in between classes so you
Yeah.
could get in between the classes. If you were 30 seconds late, she would close the door on you,
What
and
the
you'd have to get a
fuck?
note from the principal, say that you're
Yeah.
30 seconds late.
Oh, that's so annoying. Mm.
Yeah, no.
But you know how we're talking before about like the accommodations and everything,
Yeah.
but like in work, like a lot of the times like I have to lie about like I need to use a physical excuse for like my mental illness. So I can't be like,
Yeah,
hey,
I
like, and they know
definitely
my
agree with that.
diagnosis usually, but like I can't be like, hey, today I'm depressed, I literally cannot leave my bed. but I instead of like I can't say that because most of the time it was like a bad reaction, so I need to say like, oh, I'm vomiting, and they're like, oh, no problem, take the day off.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
it's crazy
that's
how
definitely
like,
true. I
yo,
worked at a car wash.
period.
Uh, uh, it was pretty hell because like I worked mostly during the summer and no AC or anything. You know, the cars are
Mm.
off while you're in them, and like I was doing most of like the indoor cleaning, whether that's vacuuming the cars or like washing shit up. Um, and that's the thing. Like it was just so fucking exhausting. It's a very physically demanding job to work at a car wash. You would honestly be surprised by like how much it is because it was a very busy car wash too. It's literally the biggest one in our area, and like it was just back to back to back to back.
Mm.
So it eventually like came to the point like nearing the end of my employment that like I was just like it was just like so exhausting to me, like I had to cancel on like half of my
Yeah,
shifts,
I do that too.
like uh, because like I would legitimately get sick too, like at work, because like it was just like so hot and everything that I would feel like nauseous and shit.
Mm.
And like I don't know if I mentioned this in our last episode, but I have like some kind of unidentified stomach problem, which I'm assuming started around there because by the time I left was because of the stomach problem and the fact that I couldn't deal with any kind of physical job anymore. Um, is because even like just running for like a minute or something like is enough to like get me nauseous right now. uh so
Shit.
like it was just like so stupid because like a lot of the times, like even before that, like it would just be because of like the pure exhaustion that I wouldn't be able to go. But like um but I would just have to say like I'm I have a cough, I might have COVID or
Yeah,
something.
bro.
I would make that excuse so much. But like I had to because it was just like I couldn't actually like say that, like and just exhausted. And it's so dumb because they made me do all like the super hot, you know
The harder stuff.
like I wouldn't say the hardest stuff because like the most physically demanding part I'd say is probably just like actually cleaning it.
Hmm.
But l- like I'm just like who the fuck just texted? Oh, this still says test. I'm so stupid.
I'm
What's
not
up? What's
surprised that
up?
we messed something up.
Yeah, we did that last time too. We don't know how to use
Do you
Twitch.
wanna do you wanna change
We're
it?
going good. I'll change it on my phone.
Yeah, change it on your phone.
What was I saying?
About having to use a physical illness
Yeah, exactly. So I would say like I'm throwing up or all that shit. Um,
Yeah, I do the same. Like at least a lot of people with BPD. Like I've heard.
can I use your
Do you
phone?
want to use my phone?
Because I'm not logged into
Oh,
my
true.
Twitch.
Yeah, I'll show
Uh,
you. Cause I realized that a lot of people with BPD have two extremes. They're either like workaholics or cannot keep a job for shit. And I'm the person that cannot keep a job for shit.
mhm,
And I change jobs like every 2 months.
mhm,
And it's like I realize that I'm about to quit the job the more excuses I use. So like the first, let's say 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe I miss like a few hours of my shift or like a day of the week. But then like it gets to a point where I'm like missing the entire week. And I'm always using, I never say it's about my mental health. I always
mhm.
like use a physical excuse, or I say like, oh, my mom's sick. Cause like people are like, whoa, you need to take care of your mom.
Yeah.
So like I always try to make like excuses like that. And it's kind of shitty because like you're like, am I, you kind of realize that you can't keep a normal job. And it's
Mhm,
kind of like, shit, am I ever going to be able to work normally?
mhm.
And this is why I'm doing a podcast.
um,
Because I can't conform to normal, like, schedules, because like what if one day I wake up depressed as shit and literally cannot leave my bed? I can't just be like, hey, I'm depressed as
Yeah,
shit, can't leave my bed.
that's why like I'm really glad like for the fact, not that COVID was a good thing period, but like a good side effect from COVID to our society is the
Yeah.
fact that it's made working from home so much more acceptable and more encouraged, and companies realize that also saves them money because they don't need to buy bigger
Mm,
offices or whatever. um
true.
and yeah, that's something that's just a lot more conducive to that, because like there's a lot of even like pressure towards sorry, I was reading your message.
I actually worked from home for 2 months, and I was working 36 hours at home, and it made me want to die because I'm someone that always moved a lot. But okay, yeah, I get that. I get the anxiety part, but at the same time, for
Mm-hmm.
like my anxiety, I get the anxiety part. I'd be like, my anxiety is like quacking, like I do not want to see humans. But my depression was like, I am isolated all day in my bedroom. I cannot do 8 hours in
Yeah,
my bedroom, closed off from society. So it was like, it's like
yeah.
what's better than the other, you know?
But that's the thing. Like, the job market in that sense is very varied right now, because like
I'll be a
when
TikToker, bro.
yeah, that's more of like I forgot exactly what you were working at when you're working from home, but like I don't imagine it was the most like sociable
No, I
job.
did insurance. I only explained insurance to people and their credit card stuff.
Yeah, that's not like a very sociable job.
No,
Like
it was only
my
2 minute
dad, my
calls.
dad works from home most of the time in this room. And his job, he's an investment and retirement planner. So most of his job is, talking to rich old people and telling them about the stock market and what's doing well right now and everything, and what would be good to add to their portfolio to diversify. And to him that's interesting
That's
because he's
cool.
talking about these companies and their ideals and everything, and how it matches with these people. So it's a lot more sociable of a work at home kind of job, because he's still working at home 90% of the time. Like, he does go out sometimes to meet a client in person, but 90% of the time he's here,
Mm,
he's on his phone and just doing emails or whatever. So
that's interesting.
that's yeah, that's more just a difference between like um that's why I'm saying work at home in general is like a good step to go towards. It's because for even for more sociable jobs like that,
Hmm.
because like I personally would rather a more sociable job than something that's like desk work. um like working from home just accommodates for mental illness in a social
Oh
job
yeah.
a lot more, because um like even if like you don't really feel as isolated, even if
Mm.
like you aren't spending as much time with people. And I don't know, yeah, it's just like a matter of like combining it, I guess.
We're both reading.
Since I'm a recruitment manager, I have to be the face of the company, and so working in office instead of online videos.
In
Mm.
meeting is tough.
Yeah, I could imagine that's pretty tough. So wait, let me see. You're a recruitment manager, so you help people, you do interviews and stuff for jobs, I'm guessing. Um, I mean, I'll wait for you
I
to
don't know
respond.
about recruiting.
Um,
They make more money than what I do.
definitely make more money than what I
But
do
I
because
mean,
I do nothing.
as you said, you had like anxiety too.
Hmm.
So like that also, like I feel like there's an extra pressure on that when you're more like in as a leader,
Hmm.
and especially like introverted. It's like pushing you more outside of your box, and I feel like your higher up boss is like, some of them won't understand the amount of anxiety it can give someone to lead a meeting and to lead stuff like that.
Yeah,
I'm sure it depends on the person, obviously.
yeah. I wonder, like, this is just a question for you. I don't. Let me see your name. Marginal foam. Okay, foam. Uh, like, did you like choose this job, or was it like you worked at the company and they eventually gave you that position? You're like, why not? Because like I don't know, it's a weird dichotomy. A lot of people with anxiety are pretty sociable, or even if they're an introvert, they might be
Mm.
relatively sociable. It's just they might prefer to be by themselves or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, just how did you stumble upon that job? Because I don't know, it's almost like a clash.
I got offered.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Oh,
that's what I thought. That's what
okay,
I
that's
thought.
lit.
So yeah, that's
Getting
uh,
bank.
yeah. At least, right? At least. And you used to work
Back.
mainly back office. Okay. Um, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I don't have much, workforce experience as a whole because I'm 20, right? I worked
She.
mostly at like the car wash, like I said before, for most of my work career. And like, uh,
I'm the
whoops,
opposite.
and like that's not something you could work up in really, like, and you don't want to work up in that job
That's
because
fair.
working up in that job is going from $12 an hour to $15 an hour, and
Uh,
it's the same work.
that's. I'm like
And
the opposite of
except
you.
you have to like manage people. um
Oh yeah,
but
true.
what was I gonna say? Yeah, no, I've never really, because of that, like I've never really felt the feeling of like being offered being offered a new role. And I guess there's some kind of pressure associated with that because you want the money. One step below.
They probably saw you're pretty good or something like that.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
I'm sure
obviously
you're
they're not
pretty smart,
gonna.
bro. Like what the fuck?
Yeah, they're obviously not gonna give you the role if you can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Like one thing about anxiety, and is that we think we're less good, but other people around us see our true potential. So I'm
Hmm.
sure your bosses saw your potential and like in a way
Yeah,
like
and
you're
they're
kind
just
of like
they
I don't
might be
know.
pushing you too hard in some sense because they don't know the whole context, right? Not
Yeah.
everyone's gonna. But yeah, that's an interesting perspective because, like I said, like I never got the opportunity to move up in a job, and I wouldn't know the kind of pressure that's associated with, hey, I like the money, but I don't want to do this part of the job, but I really want the money, and
Mm,
this is a good step towards my future. Like you said, like you're one step below those
director.
people,
Yeah.
and the job you have right now could be an opportunity to step that way. Yeah, exactly. It's interesting. It's interesting because the it is a duality. Yeah. It's interesting because you're the only one that you're the first one we have like that are actually
Interact.
participating in the
Yeah, the other
stream.
ones are like, "Do you want to come game with us?"
Yeah, last stream we literally it was just my friends that would come in randomly and they'd be like, "Yo, bro, hop on Discord. Let's
Yeah.
let's play Rust, bro." And I'm
But
like, "Bro, I'm not gonna be toxic with you right now."
but I kind of get the job thing. Like I'm like as I was saying before, like I'm the opposite of you. Like because of my BPD, I've had a million jobs and I have like 14 jobs on my CV, which is ridiculous. And it's like you always become the new employee. Always. You're always a new employee. So it's kind of like because BPD we need like constant change in a way and we're very impulsive with our ideas. It's like in a way it helps, but in the other way, one of the best like it's been proven like psychologically that BPD people need structure and we need a schedule. So if our like impulsive side is like
Yeah.
taking like the lead, we're obviously gonna hop job to job and it's never gonna really help.
Mm-hmm.
But there's obviously the other type of BPD where they're just workaholics and they're just working nonstop, which is like we're always two extremes. We're always black and white.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you need to realize is like when it gets better. And also everyone I know that has BPD, I'm also in a BPD support group where we're like 12,000 people and I haven't seen anyone that doesn't suffer from another mental illness. So it's like people have BPD, autism, BPD,
Yeah.
bipolar, BPD, ADHD, depression, anxiety. It's like, so it's like accommodating both. How do you like go at your day with it? And how do you live in a normal society that doesn't see like the,
That's one of the biggest struggles when it comes to I mean, we talk so much about what we call big three in terms of like autism, BPD, and ADHD, and how they're so closely related.
mm-hmm.
But just another point in how difficult they are to diagnose. fucking
Facts,
like
bro.
like
Jesus.
do you, everyone I know that's had ADHD has had either anxiety or depression or both.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost a guarantee. Like it's crazy. And it's a very similar situation with BPD, and of course uh, autism is a lot more varied, but when we're talking about autism in this context, it's very much specifically high functioning and Asperger's, and
Mm-hmm.
more ones that relate to the two things like ADHD and BPD, where
Yeah,
it's
the mood swings too.
uh yeah, more about interest.
Yeah, that's facts.
100%, 100%. It's very difficult to diagnose girls with autism because a lot of times it's mistaken for BPD or ADHD,
Yeah.
and um
But the thing also is that when they're diagnosing people, BPD is only allowed to be diagnosed at 18 officially. Some people got diagnosed
yeah,
before.
depends where you are. We're in
Yeah.
Canada, so that's how it is
Yeah,
here.
exactly. In a way, like it's proven that like the life expectancy of someone with BPD is 21, which means a lot of them commit suicide, and the fact that at 18 it's usually like the official
Yeah.
diagnosis, it's kind of like, so like how are we supposed to help these people when we don't even have medication that can help
Mm-hmm.
specifically BPD? It can help your depression and anxiety symptoms, but not your like specifically BPD. And there's more and more like therapists, psychiatrists, and all of that are not accepting people with BPD. And
Mm-hmm.
like in this big support group I'm on, like it's so sad to see that like a lot of people can't find like
Mm-hmm.
therapists
A lot
because
of
they're
them
not
just don't know
accepting.
enough.
Yeah, exactly.
100%, 100% earlier intervention. I think earlier intervention with like most mental illness, like it's almost assumed like when you have like a kid, I guess, like it's almost assumed like your kid's just gonna be perfect and normal, but
Which
like,
is false.
and you just teach them that way because you're just gonna expect them to be as you they grow up. But in my opinion, as like a small child, you should be learning things that are also useful to someone with ADHD or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Like at least like the skills around it in terms of like fidgeting is okay, stuff like that.
Facts.
Uh in order to like prevent like the kind of early habit of masking, um because like that's just something that bogs us down so much as we become adults, is getting past that mask and being able to like fully unsheath it,
Mm-hmm.
because like there's it just hides so much with your childhood insecurities, and like I don't want to look like I'm fidgeting because that's not normal and shit like that. Unless you take
Yeah, here too in Canada,
same
like
here, man.
it
Yeah.
takes it takes months
So
before you can get anything done, which is ridiculous.
so exactly. Let me actually, here's a personal example. So I've had multiple therapists and stuff throughout the years. All of them were shit. All of them were shit. So I'm trying to look for more, I have a good doctor right now, which is a great first step, right? Like I've always had bad doctors, therapists, and everything. Like all of them were just, they didn't relate to me or whatever, and they weren't able to like properly listen. But now I have a decent doctor. She listens, she understands, like um even if there's like something that should be like a priority suggestion, because like medically, that should be the priority. Like if it doesn't accommodate to my way of living, she'll give me a second option, right? Shit
Yeah.
like that. um so like uh, we're trying to save money in it because she is private, so we were like, okay, let's try to get a referral to the CLSC, which is Canada's equivalent to what you're talking about, I'm pretty sure. um or Quebec's equivalent, I should say.
Yeah, the public
um
health system pretty much.
yeah, and I got referred 2 months ago directly from my doctor, directly to the CLSC, and um they called me 2 weeks ago no, 1 week ago to like ask me what my like symptoms and like just my lifestyle is like. Like they gave me a bunch of questionnaires, and then now like I don't know. Like those
You're
two,
you
it
don't
was
know.
2 months ago when the referral started, and I still don't know after they gave me the questionnaires and everything.
Yeah,
But like it could be another month, it could be another three. Like
facts. I also have a story about that. Like back in October, like I had an attempt and it took them 6 months for them to call me back to be like, oh yeah, so we want to put you in like a BPD support group and all that. And but you changed like addresses. It's literally 10-minute difference. And they're like, well, actually, we can't take you. We're gonna have to transfer you to the other place. So months later, they call me from the other place, and I'm just like, here, like, bro. And then they're like, it's 2 times a year the meeting, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Also, like, we live in a bilingual like country, and they only offer
yeah.
it in one language,
Yeah, exactly. And
which is like,
that's a very Quebec unique thing just
yeah,
because of how fucking colonial they are with trying to make French the official language.
yeah. But the
um
thing is, like, mental health, like, they need to make sure, like, it says in my file that like I express myself better in English
mhm.
when it comes to mental health, and I'm just like, bro, are you okay? Like you know how we were like talking about attempts before and like how like I was like I went to the hospital and they didn't take me in. They were like, "Here's this number. If you're feeling suicidal, just call." And I'm just like,
Yes, because
"What?"
that's what I think when I'm
Like, yeah, that's what
suicidal.
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna
do.
call a number.
Yeah. And it's like they're usually on hold. Like usually if you do call the number, like when I was a teenager, well, I still am. When I was younger, like you would
I'm
either
not.
text or call, and they're like, so the waiting line is an hour, bro. Like what?
Yeah, no, that's
Oh, I
crazy.
find that kind of funny.
But I just realized I need to get something real quick. Do you want to entertain our homie
Oh
for
my
a
god,
couple
you're gonna
seconds?
don't get drugs, bro.
Maybe getting
Yeah, but like I don't know who's the foam. Like, do you have any like diagnosis, or is like do you just have anxiety, or like are you like do you think you just have anxiety, or like there's other things? Cause like what you're saying about your job, I totally relate, but I feel like that's just part of my BPD and not my anxiety. None could be. Oh, okay. But is it because like how you're saying like the system's really shit over there? Oh, okay, it changes. Are you looking to get diagnosed, or is just the system's too slow over there in the UK? I'm asking phone if you
Well, I'm
have
sure, honestly,
diagnosis.
even private is more expensive there. UK living expensive, period. Everything's so much more
All
expensive.
facts.
Um,
I think it's just it's not worth it. Okay. Cause to be fair, a lot of the time what they say is just like get on the list and wait. That's
that's the
it.
thing. Like, if you're not doing anything about it right now, regardless, not saying that you aren't. Like, I'm sure you
Trying to
like
figure shit out.
you're on Twitch watching mental health stuff. I'm sure you know Dr. K and stuff.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
But yeah, no, like you said, yeah, your doctor is pretty right because that's
You need to
that's
kind of push it,
you
honestly.
do need to push it in a sense. I mean, you shouldn't push it too far, obviously, because then they'll get the
Send you to psych
diagnosis
ward.
wrong. Yeah, I made that decision the wrong way around, but um, yeah, that's the thing. If like if you're like waiting already, like I think it's worth like I still went into the CLSC system, which like we said is very similar to what you're saying, or it's just way too long. But I'm still going through that because you know I'm doing well in general right now. Like you know I'd like to have more opportunity for therapy or whatever, but like I do enough for myself to keep me going in a sustainable way. That's fair. That's
Holy
fair. I
shit.
get that. I get that. It is a lot. It is a
A
lot.
lot.
Um. The so, but that's why I'm saying like it's worth, because either way, you're waiting, right? Like if you're not getting therapy right now, it's as good as waiting through the public system, no? Because you'll eventually get it, even if it's too late than it should have been. It's
Hmm.
still worth like going through the effort, even if you are doing stuff for yourself now. Like I
Yeah.
said before, you're on Twitch watching mental health stuff right now. I'm sure you watch Dr. K. I'm sure you watch other self-help stuff. Um, so like if you're able to do that for yourself in the meantime, regardless, it's it's definitely better than nothing. That's what we're saying. It's not perfect. Like we were saying, the whole topic about this podcast right now is how things could change to accommodate us more, and that's definitely one of the huge ones, is time, because there just isn't enough resources available within like mental health in medicine. Like there just isn't enough therapists, there isn't enough psychiatrists, there isn't enough
Mhm.
psychologists, there isn't enough specialized people, there isn't enough social workers, like everyone practically there isn't enough of. Which is, it's sad, yeah, definitely, but like for now, my point in saying this is, for now, do what you can with what you have, and um
Give it a go.
yeah, exactly, that's my whole point in it. It's just like, I know the weight's a bitch, man, and like I didn't go through the CLSC system till now. Like I did a lot of private. All those other therapists I was talking about, those were private, and they were shit. Uh, like that's the thing. To me, like I'm very much like what is it? Almost jaded in the same sense as you, because like I don't want to spend all that money, or have my family spend all that money on like a shitty therapist or whatever, when I was going to those private
Mhm.
ones. And I don't want to just keep on, shooting in the dark when it comes to like paying that much money. So that's why I'm trying to go through the CLSC right now, see if I could find someone decent there. And if I don't, I guess I'll try private again. But
Yeah.
regardless, um, regardless, like it's still worth taking that step. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. The issue too is at least here, like when you go in the public system, you can only have a therapist for like 3 months, I think, and then you have to change.
Really,
Yeah, I think it depends on your mental illness. But I think that's what I heard. Cause like
I
in
have
the
no
in the
idea.
private, like I've had the same one for almost 3 years. I mean now she left because she's pregnant, but
Yeah, but that's only for 9 months or a year
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah, usually.
Yeah.
Should we get into the actual topics?
Yeah, we haven't talked much
we,
about the actual
we
topics.
haven't talked about the wait. Thing I might
So we were talking
just.
about.
That's fair.
Oh wait, I didn't.
I would do that too.
That's fair. Like, let me tell you more specifically about me. I don't know how long you were watching this for, because honestly, I have such bad memory. But I mentioned how I worked at the car wash. That like burnt me out in a lot of ways, because I was already burnt out like from school prior, because left college. We both left college. We both were at music school, and so I was already burnt out in that aspect. And then I got a lot of like physical burnout, like just getting exhausted from like working physically so much at the car wash, and also my health problems on top of that. I ended up like, I'm not working right now. I'm practically like doing nothing. Really, like my days consist of just following whatever ADHD hyper focus leads me to, whether
Fair.
that's playing a game for 5 hours, or like writing a whole song in like two. Like
Yeah.
like but at the same time, having a lot of that time, kind of, and especially being isolated in a lot of that time during COVID, kind of forced me to look within myself and improve myself and a lot of the habits I was having, and to actually like accommodate myself towards like my ADHD rather than trying just bashing my head against the wall trying to do what normal people do, you know?
Mm.
Because that's what I did my whole life. I just bashed my head against the wall, kept on trying to do the things the way normal people did, and I kept failing and shitting on myself because I was failing, and then that was just a circle.
Just makes it worse.
But yeah, but leaving my job and having all that time to myself, like I said, especially during COVID where you're so isolated, it like forced me to look within so that I wouldn't get depressed again. Who gets to say what's normal though? That's the point. That's the
Yeah.
point. That's the point in us saying this
I
in the
mean,
first place, because that's just like Western medicine as a whole. You know, it's impact on us. Because everything is based off of the majority percentage. Is this gonna
yeah.
work for the majority of people? It doesn't. In reality, it doesn't fucking matter what works for the majority of people,
Facts.
because you're gonna leave the rest in the dust. Like if the majority is 51%, what the fuck happens to that 49?
Yeah, exactly.
Something to fix rather than something to understand. That's a great point,
Oh, that's
because
poetic.
that even goes to say the fact that it's like mental illness, you know, because that's why I like the word neurodivergence a lot,
Yeah,
because
that's really well said.
it, especially like, I mean, I understand more from the perspective of ADHD, but especially when it comes to something like ADHD or autism or BPD, like you can very much, if you accommodate everything perfectly, you can be the most successful person in the world. Look at who are the most successful people in the world.
Facts.
The big CEO, Elon Musk. Do you think he's neurotypical? Really? Like honestly, he's not. That's the thing. Like
Clearly
if
not.
you actually know how to structure your life around your mental illnesses, exactly. If you know how to structure your life around your mental illnesses, it almost becomes a superpower. And
It's facts.
um like that could be like exclusively calling it a superpower is also pretty damaging in it of itself, but that's why I like neurodivergence, because all it means, if you take the meaning of the words in neurodivergence, all it means is different brain.
Yeah, just
Different brains. That's a
spectrum.
great way to say it. We have different brains. The end.
Physically too.
Yeah, physically, in terms of like size of whatever, the
Yeah.
amygdala and shit like that. Um, but yeah, that's just like a more proper way to think about it. Because I mean, I talked about this a lot in our last episode. Is because I like to look to be able to like help me understand how to accommodate things around ADHD. I try to think like what about ADHD made sense, like evolutionarily.
Mm.
Why was ADHD developed through evolution?
Oh.
Um, so let me read your comments. It does add spice, bro. Neurodivergent people
Yeah.
are my favorite.
Spicy.
But the best
Why
artists
is
are
it
all
spicy?
neurodivergent too. That's the thing. Like the art would not be the same without us. That's
Oh
just how
yeah.
it is.
Look at the music world, bro.
Exactly. The entire
Damn.
thing. Like there's genres would not be like so many iconic genres just would not exist if it
Oh
weren't for
yeah.
neurodivergent people. Um what was I saying? Fuck.
uh, the last thing I remember is saying the brains are different.
Brains are
That was
different.
like
I
five
know
minutes
that.
ago.
Um, fuck, we'll remember. If not, I hope
In
phone
an hour.
remembers.
No, the music thing?
No, it was
No.
before that. Well, I'm literally having a breakdown right now. Um, fucking.
uh,
I was thinking about how I like the word neurodivergence a lot.
yeah. I have no idea. Do you want me to
Yeah,
Google
I'm
it?
sure. I'm sure. Van Gogh cut off his ear. I'm sure he's mentally ill.
Yeah.
I don't think we even need to discuss which one it is. 'Cause,
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, either way. But um, yeah. My point in all that is, oh yeah, evolutionarily,
Oh, evolution. Yeah.
evolution.
We're really bad.
Yeah, we forget so much.
Huh?
So like what about ADHD makes sense in like the wild? I mean, like ADHD people
Like
were the
animals?
in the wild, like as tribal humans
Oh, okay, okay, okay,
who
okay,
are
okay. I thought you
nomads.
were talking about
Think
animals
about like early
when we
humankind
were hunting and stuff like that.
when we were hunting and
Uh,
moving our tents every few months or whatever, and like we were nomads and everything and just following the prey. Like you you have that kind of short burst energy that ADHD gives you. That makes a lot of sense for hunting now,
oh,
doesn't it?
yeah.
It makes a lot of sense for hunting
Oh, shit. I didn't think of that.
because as soon as you get that fight or flight, ADHD people with ADHD, it's commonly known that a lot of us can like our productiveness can go like tenfold whenever we're stressed. Um, which is an interesting thing to think of because you wouldn't imagine that stress makes you more productive. But when I'm talking about stress, I'm talking like like
Normal level stress?
well like it's a type of stress that you can't get out of, I guess.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah.
So in a hunting scenario,
Mm-hmm.
you can't just say I don't want to do this to a tiger.
Oh,
I don't want to fight. You can't just tell the tiger you don't want to fight it. Like it'll fight you. And so down into farms
yeah,
and villages
facts.
and towns, we started doing same things exactly, because like it just like yeah, it just made more sense when we were a lot more sedentary and it was a lot more structure based. Um, and but yeah, like because of that, like like I said, ADHD just makes sense evolutionarily for stuff like hunting and gathering and whatever. And also, if you're looking about all like the artistic sides of a lot of mental illness, uh, like just think of the fact like people take it for granted like human invention throughout the years, and like how the fuck did someone think to come up with a wheel or whatever, or to make fire or whatever? Like it's just a bunch of weird people, neurodivergent people who
Facts.
just thought, what happened when I mix this with this? Or what happened if I hit this with this? And it's very much like
Sure.
just like it seems that something that would come out of impulse, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like no one like would think like fire instinctively is something you want to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
So how did we ever think like, yo, let's cook our meat on the fire?
Some dumbass just
Yeah,
ran through
exactly.
the
But that's the
fire.
thing.
Yo,
We need the crazy people.
we need the crazy. About like that, one of our topics was like hyper focus.
Our inventors thinking differently. Well, yeah, that's why, like I said before, CEOs are like there's so many of them that have ADHD or BPD, more so than autism because just because like social, right? because the social reasons kind of hard to be a CEO when your social interactions that different. It's just hard to be a face of a company. That's not a diss on autism whatsoever, because in my opinion there should be a lot more autistic CEOs, but that's just the way of the Western markets, I
Facts.
guess. And yeah, it is definitely like, it's just people who are mentally ill and understand how to
Mm-hmm.
make it work for them. And the interesting thing about that is that they may know how to make it work for them, like production wise, in terms that they're good at their job and doing what they're interested in, but they might also be like held back emotionally. A lot of
Mm.
CEOs kill themselves.
Oh yeah.
A lot
Shit.
of CEOs kill themselves, and you'd expect like, oh, but they're managing their mental illness so well. They're so much more structured than a lot of other people with ADHD or whatever. And um like, that's the case, but a lot of that comes out of like, they spend so much time focusing on the other stuff that they neglect like their emotions, in the same
Facts.
way that like, um like, in the same way that like guys will avoid their emotions in preference for anger or whatever, just to like not show it or whatever. But
That's
for
true.
someone like that, it's not necessarily not to show it, it's because they feel like it's not worth their time or whatever, I guess. Okay, yeah, that was what you just said. Sorry, I was rereading your
Rereading
same
the same
comment.
question.
um but yeah, um
Uh,
so we're done talking about like that evolutionary aspect
yeah.
of like how to accommodate and everything.
I was gonna
I
say
wanted
about
to
the hyper focus, right?
mm?
About the hyper focus.
Well, yeah, that plays into it, hyper focus. Yeah, uh like, especially with the invention point that I was talking about
Yeah,
before,
facts.
how like early humans invented things. uh like, you have to be like, to make something with your bare hands. I don't know if you've ever done DIY shit, like,
Yeah, I've done some construction.
yeah, exactly,
I
like
do it in like an hour. I did a table in like 2 hours.
yeah,
Like,
it it's 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 a very like, you need to be like very focused on it, and you need to like care like about the outcome in some way, to be able to like actually make anything worthwhile. And especially like, there's no blueprints back then or anything, like
facts.
there wasn't any instructions, you were just trying to make something. So it definitely took like, someone with a brain with weird priorities to be able to do shit like that.
But you know about like the hyper focus about how we also tend to hyper focus on people, and
Mm-hmm.
especially like people with BPD, we depend so much on people that we're like obsessing over it, and it can tend to like kind of mislead things in a way further on.
um Actually, that made me think about the fact that, you know there's a lot of politicians. I don't know if they have BPD, but I
Mm,
would, like, it's
that's
very
true.
much like they seem to have the symptoms of it, because
Yeah.
like, just as a job, being a politician, right? um like, it's very much about just like telling people what they want to hear.
Yeah.
And BPD is the mental illness that forces you to tell people what they want to hear. So, um it's interesting, because that makes me think that, like, again, evolutionarily, we're coming back to that again. Sorry for talking about this so much,
Yeah,
but
but it makes sense.
like, when you're talking about early tribes and stuff like that, where like, it wasn't necessarily like a leader was more needed in that
Yeah.
sense, with a tribe setting. So I find like, maybe, I mean, I don't know, I haven't researched this specifically, but it makes sense that evolutionarily, like, um a lot of people who develop BPD, like, it was for that reason, to have
Yeah.
like a kind of people's person who can, get along with everyone in the tribe, and make everything work together in a sense.
Yeah, and also like how a lot of people like a lot of celebrities and social influencers tend to have these symptoms because BPD, a big thing is like the people around us will influence how we act, who we are, how we feel about ourselves. So celebrities are pretty much surrounded nonstop by people telling them like negative or positive things, and it'll make them feel a certain
It's
way.
definitely prevalent, which I- it, it's interesting because within celebrities, period, like
Period.
like as in like general celebrities, right? Um, like you could, it is definitely more skewed towards mentally ill people than the average human population, but it could still be like it's still a pretty average human population. By nature, I'm a follower, not an alpha. Now that I'm higher up, I have to be a leader, so it's conflicting. Um, that's the thing.
That's
Like
interesting.
I've never really thought of of like I guess you do in some ways, or I do in some ways, but I've never. It's kind of weird for me to think of myself as like a follower or a leader because in a lot of shit, like that's the thing. If I agree with you, I want to be a follower. If I disagree with you, I want to be the leader, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't
Oh.
care as long as my ideas come across. I'm just with it. And if there's already a leader, I'll follow that guy. If there isn't, I won't. Um, but fucking hell, I forgot my previous point because I was answering
That's
you.
how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always how it goes, bro. I feel like also a lot of leaders, we tend to have like a bigger ego than the followers.
Oh
At
yeah.
least one of our BPD, like we tend to have a lot of narcissistic tendencies, which makes us want to
Yeah.
lead, which is also misled
Yeah.
to narcissism.
Mm-hmm. What I was saying before about celebrities. Yeah, general
Oh yeah.
celebrities. Yeah, they do skew more towards mentally ill people than the average population, but it's still a pretty general population of people within like just general celebrities. But when you look at internet celebrities,
Like
that's a
like
different
YouTube
world.
and TikTok and stuff like that.
YouTube, TikTok,
Vine.
Twitch especially, I find it's very easy to notice because you see their whole life as it's
Yeah.
happening. um and it's like I think we mentioned XQC in the last podcast. I mentioned the guy from Laval that
Oh yeah, yeah,
um
yeah.
so XQC like you can tell like he has ADHD definitely. Like you could 100%
Yeah.
tell. But for his job specifically, oh god, excuse me. For like a streamer job like that, especially as a top streamer like that, entertaining the general Twitch audience, plus his juicers, everyone loves their juicers. You don't get that meme, but still it's funny. His
10
brain
miles
is
ahead.
running 10 miles
Yeah.
ahead of his body. That's true.
me.
But yeah, like, but would as many people watch him if it wasn't that case? Like, that's the thing. A lot of the appeal of XQC is just the fact that he's like, dude, come on, dude, let's go, dude, the entire time, and
Yo.
it's just fun to watch that and just see how he interacts with people, and
Mm.
it just kind of like it gets people to interact really easily. Like you're just very out there in a lot of ways.
You
Yeah.
read it already.
Yeah, it was like I thought it was a new one.
I was like, bro. What's the other topic?
We could talk about the examples.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna, how I mentioned like narcissism and BPD, how like BPD we tend to have a lot of tendencies that people with narcissism have. So people think that people with BPD are narcissistic, which we're not, because it comes entirely with the ego thing and the intentions behind it, and it's just so different.
It's interesting because I'd categorize like narcissism as an overabundance of ego,
Yeah,
and I'd
exactly.
categorize BPD as an underabundance of
Yeah,
ego.
like
You have
the
so
opposite.
little ego that you look towards other people to find your own. Um,
Yeah,
like, which it's pretty funny that like how such opposites.
kind of have similar symptoms.
Yeah, exactly, because they come from like this, like the same spectrum of insecurity, even if they're at opposite
Yeah,
extremes.
exactly.
So because they come from the same spectrum, a lot of the symptoms are very similar in the sense of like, acting manipulative or whatever, like, shit like that. um Acting manipulative, or like, very much acting like the
Yeah.
people around you or
Like the
whatever.
manipulative one, a lot of people with BPD, let's say you're feeling suicidal and you'll tell someone, "Hey, I'm upset. Can you come help me?" And then they're like, "I'm busy. Like I need to do my life." And then people with BPD, we tend to push it and be like, "Okay, well, I'm gonna kill myself now." Like,
Yeah,
na na na. We push it, and it's kind of manipulating in a way, but it's not the same way as like we wanna manipulate the person. Is like we feel abandoned if you don't
hmm,
come help us,
yeah,
and if you don't answer in the way we need it, we're gonna feel
exactly.
like you left us out in the cold, and it'll make us feel more like shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm trying to think of like an example, like for narcissism, to like compare that with,
Mm.
because like, um like, not
It's
to say that being a narcissist, like, is gonna imply that you're as suicidal as someone
Yeah,
with BPD,
but
because
it's a
that's
lot
just
more
more
for
so.
self gain too,
Yeah,
narcissism.
exactly. That's what I was about
Yeah,
to say. Narcissistic people, um will um will say shit like that, not because they're legitimately sad, but they'll say shit like that because they just want the attention.
yeah. Like I actually remember a case in my high school about this guy going around and texting girls and would be like, "I'm suicidal and my mom's super sick," na 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 na, just to get attention from the girls. And it be like the police was involved, and it was like he was never actually suicidal. He just really wanted to like get laid,
Yeah.
and he was using, and it actually worked. It did like work with a few women, and like it was all to manipulate and get what he wanted.
Yeah, exactly. That's
And it
actually a
was
really good
crazy, yeah,
example.
no.
That's a really good example. Yeah, definitely. Um,
It just went to shit. The police was involved in everything. So it's like, what did you gain at the end of the day?
yeah, it is fucking messed up. Phones, right? Like,
Yeah, that is messed up in high school too, bro.
yeah, no, it's pretty crazy what fucking high school kids get up
Yo,
to
I
when you
feel
look
like,
back on that shit. I have some crazy stories.
yo,
I have some kids who did some very illegal shit, like, not like the fun kid kind of illegal shit,
oh,
like,
oh God.
not like
Um,
smoking weed on school property, like,
yo,
like,
legal now. Over
well,
21.
still not on school
Oh,
property.
that's true.
but yeah, no, it's pretty crazy. Because narcissism is definitely something that runs more free within high school, just because of the lack of maturity.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe that's part of the reason that they wait so long to diagnose BPDs, because of how closely related to
But I
narcissism
heard
is.
it's because
Well,
they
there's
want to
multiple reasons,
put
of course.
ADHD before BPD.
That's the main one, of
Yeah.
course. Uh, did something illegal at some point.
Went
Exactly,
extra.
exactly. I'm
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about extra illegal
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I did illegal shit. Other people did extra
I
illegal.
think just drinking alcohol is illegal, and most people start in high
Yeah,
school, and we're under
exactly.
18. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's like the normal illegal.
Mm-hmm. But my friends and I would. This is a random story, but my friends and I, that reminded me. We had a McDonald's like right near our high school, so we would walk during lunch to get McDonald's like
Mhm.
every Friday or whatever. And every time we'd get McDonald's, we'd get like a bunch of sodas, like all in one cup, and then fill the rest of it with alcohol.
Oh,
and bring
yeah.
it to class.
Oh my god, yes.
So my friends and I would just be drunk
Or
as
like
shit
you would
in
put in your,
history class.
or you put like vodka in a water bottle, and because it's transparent, like I had a lot of friends that did that, and it happened one day that the police came and did like the alcohol test where you have to walk on a line.
Oh my god. It's mm, or intervene. Yeah, um that's just kind of like nature of teens, just because like that's the age where you're gaining independence, but um you're still not
We're
fully mature.
wilding.
Yeah, exactly. You're still not fully mature, but you're still gaining independence in the sense that you're allowed to go out alone now. Like your parents aren't gonna care as much if you're sleeping over
Yeah.
at a friend's house and shit like that.
But
So like it's kind of easy as a teenager to like look at your group of friends and be
yeah.
like, yo, we're adults.
Let's
Yeah, like, you know.
Another thing that's really interesting is that teenagers or children that went through trauma, our brain ages a lot quicker and our
Mhm.
maturity is, I think it was like, I don't know if we talked about it, but it was like 10 years
Yeah,
faster.
10 years faster
And
around.
it
I
is
remember seeing that.
insane the difference of like people I've met that have suffered with trauma or mental illness and people that don't. The level of maturity is like shocking.
Yeah. Um that it's pretty funny for me, especially cuz like when I was like in elementary school, especially, like I just didn't understand like any of the kids around me. Like I had a small group of friends, and like most of them ended up mentally ill, which makes sense.
Period.
um but yeah, like I just like it would literally like just embarrass me just to be around these people
Oh.
sometimes as a kid. Like I don't know, like uh it almost like like seems like oh, why didn't I just like participate and do shit back then? But it's
Yeah.
like I just didn't mesh well with like the grade I was at the time, at least. I mean, even in high school, definitely, but like it was less so in high school, just because
Mm.
every teenager kind of feels like they're an adult, and because of that you get kind of convinced by that, and you're like, yeah, we're, like I said before, like, yeah, we're all adults,
Yeah.
um but yeah, I don't know, should we talk about another one of our topics now?
Yeah.
um Let me
Do you want
think.
this one?
um
Because we didn't talk about the manic aspect of
oh yeah,
ADHD and BPD.
I guess, yeah, since we're already talking about this, it's a good one to go on to. um So the topic we're talking about right now is
Mania.
hyperfocus slash inattention, which is like the two modes of ADHD, versus mania and depression, which is kind of two modes of BPD.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this like a couple days ago, how how like difficult it is to differentiate the two, and we were talking with my sister too, which
Oh yeah.
she doesn't know if she has BPD. She's been diagnosed with ADHD, but as we mentioned before, it's something that can be easily misdiagnosed.
Facts.
So we were talking about it with her, um and we were talking about how hyperfocus or mania is like so similar to old school manic depressive vibe. It is very
It's just the
similar.
timing of it
Yeah,
that is
that's
very
the
different.
yeah, the timing's very different. So when you're talking about like bipolar depression,
That can last weeks and months.
yeah, that's more of um like it's more cyclic. It's like a cycle where you
Yeah.
go from mania to depression to mania depression. It's still the same feelings, it's just the timing's very different. BPD
Yeah.
is more throughout a day, and ADHD is also more throughout a day, which is
Yeah.
why they're more easily misdiagnosed.
Yeah.
So
I feel like the rush though of mania and BPD can be a bit stronger because it is compressed. Like bipolar, it's
That,
for
that's
like
exactly my
2
point.
3
That's
weeks,
exactly
and
my
mania
point.
and BPD can literally last a few hours. And the thing is, most people that have BPD know that after a manic episode, your depression's gonna hit twice as
Yeah,
hard
it's
as
like taking
before.
Molly. It's like taking Molly.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. What was I gonna say about that? Yeah, no. So, uh, we were talking about that because I remember before I fully understood I had ADHD, right? Before I was diagnosed and understood about everything about it, I was learning stuff about BPD, and I kept on being like, "Bruh, like it seems like something I have. Like, what the fuck? I relate to so much of the shit." Um, and like uh the reason I was able to relate so easily is because I was thinking about like the whole up down situation of mania and
Yeah, like the
depression.
mood swings.
The general fact that it's like an up down in our emotions made me think that my hyper focus slash inattention was actually mania slash depression, because like whenever like you're inattentive, you feel unproductive, and because of that, like it it causes you to feel sadder, right? And um like you could easily like have a misconception towards like having the depression in BPD is more like a pure depression, versus having the sadness from your inattentiveness is just because you don't feel
Oh.
productive, right?
So like one's more chemical in a way, and like the other one's like
the other one's
environmental.
yeah, it's more about like
That's yeah, that makes
how you
sense.
feel about how you're doing, like
Yeah.
um so, and it same goes for hyperfocus and mania, right? Because that's one thing that helped me realize like BPD was definitely not me, because like I've never had a euphoric kind of mania where
You're
I'm
so happy with life.
yeah, exactly, where I feel like a god or whatever, or like
Top of the
I'm
world.
more powerful or smarter or whatever. I get I get points where I'll just hyper focus onto something, and because I'm hyper focusing on something and enjoying it so much, I'm just having such a good time that it could be easily confused with that also.
Yeah, that makes
But
sense.
that was a lot easier to tell because I knew specifically that it was only when I was doing something I liked. It wasn't like me
It wasn't
laying
out of
in bed
nowhere.
or looking at a mirror thinking, yo, I look really hot right now. Like, fucking hell, I'd fuck myself, bro. Like, it's not anything like that.
Oh my
It's more
God.
like it's more like
Ew.
I'm listening to an album and I'm really getting into the album and I start dancing in front of the mirror.
Okay.
Right? Like it's
That's funny because I relate to that. I feel like everyone I met with BPD, they pass by a mirror and they're like, I'm ugly as shit, or like, I'm the hottest shit ever. And there's no in between. Like, there's no in between. Like, I swear to God. Like, for me, like, when I'm manic, like, I'll be like, it'll literally be out of nowhere. I'll be in bed, I'll be having like a depressive episode, and then I'll be like, bro, like, this is, and I'll have like the amount of energy, and I look like a 10-year-old that is on a sugar rush. And that's where the impulsivity kicks in, and I'm like, I'm gonna buy a ticket to Miami, which I almost did. And then I was like, no, okay, I have no money, I'm broke. No. So then I got like a keyboard, I got crystals, I got McDonald's, and
still impulsive,
it's
but
still
a little
impulsive, less. But to be fair, too, is also why BPD is considered disability when driving is when you're manic. Like me, when I'm manic, like I try to avoid the wheel, but there's this one time where my mania was started when I was driving, and there wasn't a lot of people on the road, but I just started like swifting out of nowhere. There you go.
I
Like,
agree with that so much.
and like that's how bad, like it can actually put someone in danger. Like if I'm on the road like swifting like a crazy maniac because I can't control my energy, I can put other people on harm. Someone, when I'm depressed, I'm in fucking bed. I'm not gonna fucking do anything. The only
Yeah.
person you can harm is yourself. You're not gonna go around like hurting people.
Mm-hmm.
But the mania is where the impulse comes, and the impulse. Some people with mania, like when you have BPD, are either really bad. When the manic episode kicks in, is either money, it's either sex, it's either drugs, alcohol, like stupid shit like that can really hurt the person, and then boom, your depression hits you way further, which is crazy.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? I was gonna
Like I
make
bought
an
a ticket
example.
to Mexico like 2 days
Yeah.
ago. Like that's
My
impressive too.
m- my ex um would like uh either drink or get really horny whenever she was mad.
Yeah, exactly. And like I become like a child because my BPD, it comes with like I
Like
and
repressed childhood.
yeah, exactly repressed like childhood stuff. So it's like a 10-year-old kid that comes out, and like imagine a 10-year-old kid driving a fucking car.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can give you an idea. And I'm just here eating my nuggets while I'm driving, while I'm blasting like emo music. Fell in love with an emo. Horrible shit like that. And it's just like not like that's why it's considered a disability when driving, and it can be really dangerous. It really depends on each person with BPD. But that's the difference between like the bipolar and the BPD, is that for me, my manic episodes last max like an hour, and
But
then
it's not
it hits.
trackable in comparison.
It's
It's a
not
lot hard.
trackable.
It is trackable. It's just a lot harder to track.
Yeah, exactly. It can come out of nowhere too, you know. Bipolar, it can last
More
weeks.
like I said, cyclic.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's like 2 weeks depression, 2 weeks mania.
Yeah.
Not saying that's the guarantee. It could be 1, 2, whatever like
Yeah.
amount.
Whatever amount.
But in general, it's a lot more predictable. It's just so much easier to predict when it's not within the same day, because within the same day, like you could be like on a Monday, you're only driving in the morning to get to work and driving back. On a Friday, you could be driving at 9 p.m. On
Yeah.
Thursday, you like that's the thing. It's like making it like a per day thing makes it so much less predictable, especially when it comes to something like driving.
Yeah, and I feel like the thing, everyone I met with BPD don't have daily manic episodes or even weekly. Like it's mostly like you're kind of okay. You do have mood swings, but it's always kind of on the more low side. And then out of nowhere, the manic hits, and you could have spent like 2 weeks without having a manic episode, and then it's like shit, because partially you're like, I know I'm gonna have a worse down, and shit, like it's like you kind of black out during those. It depends on everyone, but like
Yeah, it's
for
like
me,
autopilot.
yeah, exactly, you're on autopilot and you're just like going nonstop, and
Yeah,
it's like
in the same way
when am
that
I gonna stop?
hyperfocus is
Yeah,
very much
exactly, how the
autopilot.
hyperfocus works. So that's.
Uh,
But you know how you the other days you were telling me how they asked people with BPD if they could take it away, and like 50% or more said that they wouldn't, because of the high that mania gives you.
Yep.
So yeah, that's interesting.
That's a crazy fact. The fact that that exists. Not so much because like, oh my god, that's wrong. Everyone that has BPD should want to be normal. Blah blah blah. Like that's not what I'm saying with that. What I'm saying with that is, with the with the context of how we see things through the light of Western medicine. Like we said before, we think of things like ADHD as an illness, and most people with ADHD would trade it for neurotypicality. At least like I haven't seen a specific study for that, but I'd assume it's a lot more of them would choose to be normal than people with BPD. And like it's just interesting that like that mental illness has like such an obvious quote unquote positive, because it's a positive and a negative, that it's able to get past that perception of Western medicine as a whole, the fact that
Mm-hmm.
it's an illness in the first place, they're able to get past that in their mind because they don't want to give up the 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 high of a manic episode. And a lot of them actually even don't want to go to therapy because of that. Which is interesting because in reality, therapy's never gonna fully make your manic episodes go away. It's just gonna make you learn how to deal with them better, which
Yeah.
in reality is what you want. Like,
Controlling impulses, bro.
or funnel your impulses into something that's
Yeah.
productive for you, right? Like I used to have like so little hobbies that I could really like do much when I like needed to output all my energy into something to hyper focus on. If there are some drug addicts, comparison to what
BPD and drug addicts.
BPD, I'm pretty sure, is the mental illness that has the most drug addicts.
That would make sense.
It does make sense because they know how a high feels before they've ever taken a drug.
Yeah.
That's actually very interesting. But yeah, fuck, I forgot my point again. What I was saying before.
I mean, also about the drug addict thing. People that are addicted to drugs and like have their addiction, and people that have BPD are usually addicted to people. So in a way, it can be very similar. We're addicted to people; they're addicted to a substance.
Yeah, the concept like
is similar.
Even if it's not an official addiction or whatever, like it's still very much a dependence, at least.
Yeah, exactly.
In the same way that like in the same way that like a lot of us aren't like full, like you might not be fully addicted to sugar or whatever, but like pretty dependent on it. Like everyone wants sugar. Yeah, like you know, yeah, it's pretty like weird because well, I don't know why I'm saying it's pretty weird. It's pretty sad, I should say, is that the fact that so many people with BPD have drug problems, because there's like a lot of my friends definitely relate to that. I have one friend in mind, and she struggled with multiple drug addictions, like a bunch of different shit, and like it's very difficult for her because she also just has like a shitty household too and everything, and she has no structure, and you know, she has shitty people around her. A lot of her friends are assholes. Like I'm like, she tells me all the time I'm the only, like, one of her only good friends, like it's just, it's sad how easy it is for people with BPD to go down that line.
Yeah, and fall into bad patterns.
Yeah, because like it's a different thing. Like a lot of people with ADHD, like ADHD is the mental illness that has most people who smoke weed. It's very different because like a lot of people with ADHD do that for like boredom reasons.
Yeah.
And it's because like just because like in a like you're just so inattentive, like you just like can't really like nothing really seems fun right now, in a sense. That's how like inattention kind of feels. It's like you're like, I'll lay in my bed and I'll just watch YouTube. I'm not even really focusing on the YouTube video. I'm just like living and laying. And I'll smoke weed so that like I feel like playing a video game, so that I feel like listening to music or whatever, so that like I could do something that's a little more stimulating. But for BPD, like it's often, at least with my context with her, it's to avoid the depression.
Yeah. I
like
agree with
fully
that.
avoid it. Um, and the reason I say that's different from like almost avoiding like the inattentiveness by smoking is that um like the depression within like mania and depression and BPD is it's a chemical depression like we were saying before.
Yeah.
You're literally gonna have less dopamine, less serotonin, and uh inattention is really just about like motivation or boredom. So it's not like when you're taking drugs to for your depressive episodes, it's more like avoiding your emotions versus
Yeah.
take smoking weed in specific with ADHD is more just like killing time.
Yeah, I totally get that. Like I did that a lot with alcohol because I'm like a good I'm a good kid, you know. I don't do hard drugs. And like I feel like the main reason is because we don't even know how to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the time because BPDs makes misdiagnosed, we don't even know we have it. And a big reason is like BPD is caused by trauma from childhood because you suppressed your emotions for so long. It caused BPD, and it just and then eventually BPD is usually the worst in your early 20s, late teens.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it arises, and that's when people get into hard drugs, become
The
alcoholics.
timing is just perfect
The
too.
timing's perfect. So obviously we're like, oh shit, my brain has been suppressing this thing that happened to me when I was 5, 6 years old, whatever.
I don't want to fucking think
I don't
about
want to
this.
think about it. I don't want to deal with it. It's been 20 years or something. So like people just try to use substances or addict, or a lot of them use people. Well, we don't use, but like everyone I meet that has had BPD go relationship to relationship to relationship
Mm-hmm.
and never catch a break. They will break up with someone and like 2 weeks later get into another relationship, and then 2 weeks later another one, and then they ask themselves like why it keeps failing, but it's because they're not reached.
Focusing on yourself.
Yeah, you're not focusing on yourself. Your inner child is like dying over there, and you're just like,
Yeah,
hello bro,
exactly.
like I don't want to help you out, let me just get addicted to someone or
His little
something.
kid is crying in the corner. You just
Yeah,
put a blanket
yeah, you
over
just
him.
put a blanket and you put earphones, you're blasting music, you're like, yeah, what were you saying, bro? And you're just like trying to avoid all of that, and then eventually like it hits you so hard that like you eventually need to deal with it. Some end their life, and some actually want to deal with their shit, and some just stay in the addiction, you know,
Mm-hmm.
which is super sad about it. And that's why there's less and less psychiatrists and psychologists that want to help out, because BPD is so different to an individual that it's so hard to help out. Imagine everyone with BPD have different things, different symptoms, different everything. You're just like, oh, how am I supposed to help
Yeah, it's
everyone?
very individual,
Yeah.
which is why
Yeah, exactly. Just trying
it's
to silence the
definitely just
noise.
trying to silence the noise. 100%, and I do relate to that in a sense when it comes to like masking, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Because that's a very similar situation, masking ADHD from childhood. Um, and like that would be more something like uh I would avoid like on a constant basis than more like during an episode or
Yeah.
something. But yeah, it still is definitely something I relate to, and like anyone who has kind of like a repressed emotions, like you definitely feel that need initially to like suppress them, like at least initially, even if you are
Mhm.
like as emotionally mature as I've grown to, not to suck my own dick, but
Yes,
like I
that's
see
fine.
myself as pretty emotionally mature for
Yeah, I
my
agree with
age.
that.
Um and like it's still difficult. It's still something you're going to struggle with at least like
Mhm.
once in a while, and it's just a matter of like training yourself to not care, I guess. In
Yeah.
that case at least, cuz a lot of the ADHD shit is very minor, like Yeah.
Yeah, and like how people with BPD, like because we've suppressed our emotions for so long, that means all of our emotions are like completely like submerged, which makes the influence of
Boil. It
others,
boils
it's
them.
boiling, and everyone around you, then depending on who you surround yourself with, is you're gonna become like them. You're gonna take caress like who that person is. You're gonna take part of their personality, part of their interests, type of shit. So people around you, if they're shit, you're gonna feel like shit about yourself. And if they're like decent people, you're gonna feel better about
Yeah,
yourself.
that's a huge part
I-
about BPD. Sorry, not
yeah.
ADHD.
And
Uh,
it's like crazy how big the influence of other people is when you've suppressed your emotions so deeply, and then finally trying to take that emotion out and stop depending on people around you is extremely difficult, because you feel like you're doing something wrong. You're gonna be like, why am I not doing this? Am I depending on someone, or am I actually asking for help because I need
mhm.
help, you know? Because you could be having like a depressive episode and be like, hey, I'm depressed, can you come help me? But are
Mhm.
you depending on the person, or are you actually asking for help for once, you
Yeah,
know?
it's very difficult to like differentiate the two.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like eventually when you do realize how much you're depending on people, and you're ready to work on taking all these wounds out and figuring out who you are, because most people with BPD, the biggest thing is we don't know who the shit we are.
Which
And
comes from that repression in the
yeah,
first
the
place.
repression. So we just depend on people so much. So it's like, gotta deal with that shit now. That's where
Yeah.
therapy comes in.
and spending time alone, like you said,
Yeah.
like hopping from relationship to relationship. When you have BPD, getting out, like breakups are some of the most important times for growth during BP.
Oh
In
yeah.
almost for almost anyone, I feel like that's the case, but definitely for BPD, just because of how much you, when
We're
you're
depending
dating
on someone.
someone, yeah, when you're dating someone, you just depend on them so much, so easily in that case. Like it's just like
Facts.
it yeah, like it when you have that time alone, it allows you, it gives you the time to compare like which behaviors came from that person and which behaviors came from you, you know.
Yeah. And also when you're kind of detoxing from this dependence, it's also realizing, like, you look around yourself and you kind of realize the things and the people that are bad for you, and
Mm-hmm.
you're kind of more aware of like, okay, these people are shit, let's take this out. This substance is horrible for me, let's take this out.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of realize at what point everything around you has a huge influence,
Yeah,
which is insane.
that is very insane.
Mind blown.
And it's funny because uh it's funny, this is again back to the difference between like hyper focus and main, I guess just like the difference between BPD and ADHD as in general, um is like um you find so much of yourself within other people, and I find so much of myself within my interests, like my
Mm.
special interests. um uh like like um music, I mean something we're both very uh
Interested.
yeah. And like to me, um like music can easily like uh shift or influence my emotions again, I guess, because it's not like if I listen to a sad song I'm gonna instantly be sad. But if I'm in like the kind of hyper focused mood where it's like I'm really like into the song and like dancing and singing to it or something, I will feel the emotion of the song, and like uh like almost every lyric will start to strike chords with me
Mm.
as soon as I start like getting into that kind of mood. And when it comes to like video games, and this is more about like identity, I guess,
Yeah.
like video games and like tinkering and tech, which is a lot of shit I'm into. Like it it's just something like I talk about so much, that like I almost feel like I'm pretty annoying to most people because most of the time I'm talking to people about shit like Linux, and it's like no one knows what Linux is. Like no one cares. They're just using their fucking MacBooks and their Windows laptops. They
Facts.
don't give a shit about uh, like. And I'm like, bro, like you gotta improve your online like the privacy and everything. And they're like, I'm gonna use the Google Password Manager.
And that's where it comes with the society thing. If someone's aware that like you have ADHD or whatever, and you're talking about something you're interested in, you could go for hours, definitely.
They don't care about the kernel. We're streaming on Linux. Let's go.
But like the thing about the identity thing, like I think last week I gave you an example of like how when we started hanging out more, I saw your gaming setup and I'm like, oh, bro, that's so cool. And you were talking about gaming and stuff. I've never liked gaming. Let's be real here. Like GTA 5 is like the closest gaming thing I like.
Yeah.
And I was like, Mario too, but like you were like, you had the coolest setup. So I went home and I got like cool ass LED lights and stuff, put it around my desk. And then I put like, I got like an old ass PC I found in my basement, set it up. I think I touched it like twice and it's still there, set up and everything. And I keep convincing myself, oh yeah, I'm gonna game. And then I'm like, no, like I literally took this from like Marco. And it's like realizing that there's so many aspects of who you are, you take it from people around you and you're just like, what the hell? And I think that's one big reason why I never fell into hard drugs, because the people I chose to keep close to me have never done hard drugs.
Yeah.
A few have,
Yeah.
but they're like sober now and have it under control. But I think if I would have surrounded myself with some of my old friends that did fall into that, I would have 100% fallen into that,
Mm-hmm.
just because I need to identify with people so much.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
I was trying to think of something. I don't know. This is just random, just because.
We always talk about random shit. Let's be fair.
But yeah, no. I feel like if you were to game, like I'd just set you up with like some like tiny
Your
console
Nintendo
or
Switch, bro.
something. No,
That's
but
smaller.
like there's like these little emulator consoles, and they're like this small or whatever, and they're like $80, and
Oh.
you can just put a micro SD
But it's
card
because I
in
can't
it.
even focus that long. Like TikToks now, they have 3 minutes. I can't want to watch 3 minute TikToks. Like it's that bad. Like
No, I get that.
movies,
I
I
get that.
never
But that's
finish.
the thing. What I'm saying
bro.
is just give you games like Mario and
Oh yeah.
Kirby,
Short.
the shit that
Yeah.
you could just pop into, Pokemon, whatever,
Yeah,
you know.
facts.
That's so off topic at this point. We were just talking
Give
about
me
video.
advice.
What was I gonna say?
Do you have any?
I don't know.
We should keep the last point for the next one. For the next podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Look, we're 2 hours in.
We are.
That could be an entire concept.
I feel too old for TikTok, and I'm only 26.
Oh, there's so many people of all
You're
ages
not
on
too
TikTok,
old for
bro.
TikTok.
Half
Bro,
my
my
feed,
mom uses TikTok.
yeah, half my feed are like over 30, 40, 50, 60 years old.
Honestly, though, good on you, though. I don't use TikTok a lot myself, and I try to avoid it. That algorithm is just
I'm
too
addicted.
optimized. It's
Yo,
too optimized.
It is too perfectly done. Yeah,
Exactly. That's the
it'd
thing.
be
Like,
that sometimes.
so this is definitely playing into hyperfocus, but like, I will not.
Vine, that's fair. Then there was Musically too. Was that
Yeah.
after Vine?
Yeah.
Oh shit! No, I didn't get into
Musically is
that
what turned
thing.
into TikTok.
Oh yeah, shit.
Um,
No, TikTok, I'd be crazy on that.
but it's interesting because I have TikTok just installed on my phone, and I don't touch it for like 2 months, and then one day it'll be like 12 a.m. I'll start looking at it. 5 a.m. still looking at
Oh yeah,
it.
no, bro. It's no. It's to the point where you're concerned if there's someone spying in your room. The algorithm is so perfectly done that like you're actually like it's actually shocking.
Yeah, no, it's been confirmed that there's a literal TikTok database of all
Oh
all
yeah,
our
no, I'm not
info.
surprised, bro. The government knows everything about us.
And yeah, but specifically the Chinese government knows everything about us.
Onto your Samsung.
It's on my work.
We're not even talking about
Pre-installed. It was
That's kind of creepy, you know.
well.
It's pre-installed into the Samsung. Where's Samsung
Mine's a
made?
Samsung. It wasn't pre-installed. I'm so confused why yours. Maybe it's one of the cheaper.
But it's a work
Samsungs.
phone.
Oh, but why would they have TikTok?
I don't know.
No, I think it's because the cheaper Android phones, they like partner with companies to like subsidize the phone. So they partnered with TikTok to make it cheaper or something.
Oh shit.
But that's bro, I hate pre-installed apps. As a fucking Linux user, that's the most pissy thing to me.
Do we have
Yeah,
any?
exactly. Because I know YouTube is pre-installed, right? Because Google makes Android.
Yeah.
Shit like that's pre-installed.
Apple only has the basic stuff.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Camera and
pre-installed.
stuff like that. They don't have the Netflix and YouTube.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because Android is very much based off like whatever fucking company wants to do with it. So like they could choose to have as many pre-installed shit as they want in there. I mean, you could still take it out. It's just a bitch too to do so. But yeah.
Do we have any other things to talk about?
Um.
Do you guys have questions?
No,
Yeah, we have questions. I think we should keep the last topic for next part. Tune into the next episode.
Oh my god! Be sure to follow and subscribe, guys. Come on. All right. Have a good time, Palm. It was nice seeing you. Hope to see you next time or some other time,
yeah, you better
whenever.
come next time.
Yeah. I need to hear from Monia.
Thank you. I mean, we'll probably post it on our YouTube, which is
Yeah, we will.
linked on our thing. It'll
Yeah.
probably take us 2 days or one.
Anyways,
see.
peace out for you.
You're welcome.
Yo.
Period. I guess nobody
Thanks
else
for the
has
sub, by the way. I just said yo.
You were like, yo. But yeah, just tune in next week. We don't know. We'll see.
We
We'll
don't
let you
know
guys know. We don't
exactly.
have a schedule for now.
Yeah, it might eventually happen. We'll
Yeah.
see. Keep that follow up.
Peace, guys.
Peace.